we're going to start by adding a new sheet. So we're going to click this button to add a new sheet. There's a new sheet. Go to insert. I'm going to pick the first line graph under charts here, that first one. Okay, it's fairly small, so I drag it up here so that I can make it nice and big and have plenty of room to work with. Okay, something like that's good. Now, again, if you clicked off of this, you get a whole different suite of options in the ribbon. To access the chart options, you need to select the chart, and then this chart design tab opens, and then we're going to go to select data. Select data is where we're going to spend most of our time with this. Okay. As you notice, it is blank. That's a good sign. Blank means that we get to tell Excel what to do. The first thing we want to do is we want to add a legend series. Legend series will be the actual data itself. So we're going to click add. The series name, we can change this at any point, but right now I'm just going to do ratio 1 sorted by ratio. Okay, kind of keep it simple here. But now we can change that anytime I show how to do it. It's the series values in which we want to really focus. So we're going to backspace all of that. Start with a blank space there for series value. We're going to click our sheet 1, which will have our data. And then we're going to select the face to volume ratio 1. Now, as you notice, we can't pick it for gorilla, orangutan, or chimpanzee. We only want it for the ones we can. So we're going to select these just like that. So when I click that, as you notice, it shows sheet 1, G2 through G15. And that's what I want right there. I want that data. I'm going to click OK. And it's going to immediately add the data back here. And when you move this out of the way, you can see there's my graph now. The problem is I don't understand what it is, and there's some steps I need to do to change this. So the first thing I want to do is fix this x-axis. We don't need it counting the number of individuals. We need it, like we said over here, we want it to be the time of last common ancestor. So we're going to select edit for the horizontal category axis label. Click edit, and we have another option. It says axis label range. Going back to sheet 1, we're able to pick this oldest known date, but be careful, only pick it for the same ones that you have values for. Okay, if you don't, you start having missing data. So we're really working here through the 15. So we go through 2 through 15. So it should be good. And now we've got dates on the bottom. So that looks nice. So we're going to click OK here. The problem is we don't know what's what here. So if you're using Windows or the desktop Windows version, we can add data labels by selecting this plus right here. If you're using Mac, you access it by add chart elements over here. Same options, but the plus is a little easier. I select that, and I'm going to go to data labels, and I simply check it. Okay, so now those are data labels, but the problem is they're just numbers. I would like for it to have species. So we're going to click that. And I think if you click it, let's see here. Gotta click, then come up there. Click that, right click, format data labels. That's what we want. Okay. If you double click it, you only select one of them. So if you want to manipulate one of them, you can double click. Okay, but if you want to manipulate them all, just click once, it'll select them all, then you right click, format data labels. Now that we're here, this is where we can change some things. We want to select value from sales. Value from sales is the first one. So we're going to click that. It's going to say select data label range. So we go to sheet 1, and we want to pick these names right down through there, all the way to baboon. So we'll click OK. And now we've got names with it. So now it makes a little more sense, doesn't it? Okay. I like having this ratio value there. I think it's very important, but it's hard to read. It's hard to read. So I want to change the separator from a comma to new line. Stacked is much easier to read. It's cleaner now. Okay. So we'll close that. You can right click on them. You can change data label shapes. And I like picking one of these call outs. I like any of these, like maybe that one right there. Okay. That helps me a little bit because it's got a point. And then I'm going to right click. I'm going to say format data labels again. And you can play around with this. You can do above, below, center, see what one looks best for you. Above usually looks best for me, left, right, that kind of stuff, whatever you like there. Once you have that, if you want to add your axis titles, you're going to hit the plus here. You're going to add axis titles, and then you can change them. So here, I'm just going to double click, backspace that. This will be time of last known common ancestor. Then over here, I'm going to double click that. This will be face to cranium ratio. Okay, click off of that, and also change the title here. Looks like for some reason I'm getting some spottiness here. Looks like Baboon is not giving me one. Do you notice that? And Platyops is not giving me one. So we can individually select that and figure out what's going on. So looks like the value perhaps is, I know what it is. It may not be big enough, I bet. May need to make this bigger. There we go. Same goes for here. So any of them that you're not seeing that, just make them a little bigger. You can see those values. You can move them individually too. So if you want that over here, you can move it over there, that type of thing. So these small little manipulations, whatever you need to do, just make sure you can see it better. After you have that, we can change the title. We'll work on titles individually later. Right now, that's just an okay working title. That's not going to be a good enough title for the paper itself, but right now that's okay. What we want to do now is we want to make sure the data is sorted correctly. So let's make sure it is sorted by ratio. And how we're going to do that is going back to sheet 1. We're going to select just one cell in that volume to ratio. I'm going to go to data. I'm going to go to sort. And we're going to select face to volume ratio times 100. Okay, and I want smallest to largest. That sounds good. Clicking OK. So that's changed the order of my data. And what's nice is I don't have to rebuild that graph because that graph is now changed itself. Okay. The problem is when you do this, you're going to run into an issue, because when you go to make the second one here, let's say we want to make the oldest known date. That's going to make this one change. So here's how we fix that problem. Once we get this graph exactly like we want it, we want nothing to change about it. We don't want any spacing changes. We don't want anything to change. And it is now ready to go into the paper. What we'll do is select it. You can right click and cut. Okay, I know it's scary, but it's okay. You can always undo if you need to. But then after you cut, I want you to click and right click, and we're going to paste special. And we're going to paste it as in picture. So we can pick JPEG. And what that means is no matter what, it'll stay the same. And when I change the sort, this data will not change. It's now a static image. If you don't do that, when you go to sort, everything's going to change again and again. So what you can have is you can have one working page here that you're building your graphs. Then you can start putting your graphs in different tabs and know those are static images. So that's the step-by-step process.